We are going live on Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube. Okay, beautiful. We are live. Good morning to you. I'm so excited because I have real cups today. So shout out to my client, Leah, who got the infamous unicorn mug that I'm so thrilled with. Elsie, good morning. Good to see you. So real cups. I'm not drinking out of a red Solo cup anymore. That is also really exciting. Let me just welcome Marlena. Good morning. Lisa, good morning. Oh, it's so good to see each of you. Good morning. Good morning. You know, I'm switching up what we were going to talk about today. And I was going to talk with you about how to grow your wealth consciousness, which thank you so much for the hearts. It's so good to see each of you. I was going to talk about how to grow your wealth consciousness because we've been doing this Think and Grow Rich book study, which I hope you all have been enjoying. But that honestly didn't feel authentic today. And I was kind of like, wealth consciousness, look. If I'm just being totally honest, I am here for that conversation all the time with you, and that is really important. But today, what I felt inspired to share with you is how to keep going when things feel hard. Let me just welcome Heather. Good morning, Matt. Good morning, Sherry. Oh, it's so good to see each of you. Rita, good afternoon. And, you know, we'll get back into wealth consciousness this week. No one panic if you were like, I wanted to talk about more money things this morning. But I'll be honest, this morning I woke up and I felt sad. Like I'll just be very honest with you, saying, okay, fit and wellness, good topic for me, good. And it's this happens, right? It happens to all of us. This morning I woke up and felt sad, and there's some personal stuff going on, and I think it's also just like leaving our old place, and was really like physically close to my mom there and to some other family there, and I think this is important to talk about when it comes to growing your sales, your revenue, your business, and your wealth, because as we talk about here at She Sells, it's like the most important thing in all of that is who you're being. You know, it's who you are being. And it's not realistic to say you're going to feel good all the time, and that if you don't, something is wrong. You know, so I wanted to take a moment and just speak with each of you about that today, because I've kind of been like coaching myself through it this morning, and have been up since 3, and that's kind of normal. Like I usually get up early in the morning, but I've spent about 3 hours this morning like coaching myself through it, and just wanted to share kind of some of the things that I've been working on personally that you can hopefully apply as well. Thank you for the hearts. Elsie, you're saying so strange. I woke up with that very thought, sad and hard. Yeah. And that happens. And I never, ever want to, I also just never want to give the impression that it's like all sunshine and rainbows over here all the time, right? Although that is I do want to affirm, that is your natural state. That is how, when we're on, Abraham Hicks talked about, the high flying disc, that is our natural state. But we also have those moments of contrast, of things that feel harder, to help us grow into that next level. So this is hopefully timely, and it seems like it's relevant for some of you too. But I just wanted to thank you for the hearts. I just wanted to share some of the things that I've been coaching myself on this morning, in hopes that they help you. And so the first thing I always remember with this, and thank you for the comments. I'm going to respond to comments in a moment. And please, if you have questions on this, if you're going through this, and if you're joining now, we're talking about how to keep going when things feel hard. Pop your questions or comments in the comments below, because I'd love to speak to you about those directly this morning. But the first thing is just remember, it will not last forever. Okay. It will not last forever. So the old saying, this too shall pass. It is true. It is true. And we can remember that. And I've noticed in my own life, and it might be helpful too for you to kind of track your rhythms and track your emotional rhythms to see, because we do have kind of this ebb and flow of emotions that we go through in our lives. And I notice in my, on a typical week, I'll probably have 6 days that are pretty high, peak states. And then I'll maybe have one or two that feel kind of off, but this one today felt more off. Like it did feel more challenging. But there's no judgment on it. It's just awareness. But I do know too, as you do this inner work and as you track this more, like for me, it used to be every day felt hard. And so it doesn't, like it can keep getting better and better. And you are designed to keep getting better and better as you go too. So it's like what was once your peak then becomes your floor, right? So just remember that, like this, there's nothing wrong when this is happening. And with that awareness that it doesn't have to last forever, we can also switch out of it, like glean the lessons and switch out of it faster as well. Nancy's saying nothing is permanent in this wicked world, not even our troubles. Charlie Chaplin. I like that. I mean, I wouldn't call it a wicked world, but I like that he says not even our troubles. Yeah, absolutely. That's a great point. El Kalua, good morning. It's great to see you. So the first thing is just to remember that, but we can make it last when things feel hard. We can make it last so much longer than it needs to by just getting stuck in it, right? By getting stuck in it. And so I want to share with you a technique this morning that I used and that I actually learned from Rhonda Byrne, who wrote The Secret, to help just kind of ease those emotions. Because what we want to realize with all of this is that you are not your emotions, okay? You are not your emotions. And the truth is that you are consciousness, right? So that's the only way you're able to observe those emotions. If you were them, you couldn't know what they were because you'd be too deep in them. So it's really to show up more as awareness, noticing, not saying, I am sad. This is an important, a really important switch in language. I would switch language to not say I am sad or I am anxious or whatever, because anything you say after the word I am, right, you really turn that into your identity. But just notice there is, like this morning when I woke up and just felt this sadness, it was like, oh, there is sadness. Like I notice right now that there is sadness, but it is not me. It's just there. It's passing through. So you can kind of think about it like as like a visitor passing through to you. And this welcoming ceremony that Rhonda teaches is a really powerful technique to help kind of dissolve it faster. And so all that you do is just kind of close your eyes and imagine that, Laura, good morning. Imagine that like you're in your house and your doorbell just rang and you go to open the door and standing outside are these negative emotions. And so this morning when I did it, like the predominant one was sadness, but I also felt some anxiety, I think, I don't even know, like regret for moving away from my mom, which I know, again, it's like these things, when we feel these emotions, they're not our truth, but we can also honor them for what they are. Like it's there, it's happening. So let's not pretend like it's not. Okay. So you just imagine that you're opening, it's like the doorbell's rung, you open the door and here's sadness, regret, anger, fear, frustration, anxiety, and they're standing there. Now, we have to remember always that what we resist persists. So if you like shut the door, you were like, nope, you're not there. They're just going to keep ringing the doorbell harder and harder and harder. So what you want to do is welcome them. Welcome them. And you can think about them like small, scared little children who are there because they're afraid, right? And what would you do if you're a mom, a dad, like if your child was afraid? You wouldn't be like, nope, go away, bye, right? You would comfort them. You would hug them. You'd be like, hey, what's going on? Like, I've got you, you're safe. And so literally this morning, I was like sitting on my bed at 5 a.m. like a weirdo with my arms open wide, like hugging these emotions. I know this sounds strange, but if you try it, what you'll notice is that they'll dissolve because it's like they've been heard, they've been seen. And they're like, you've given them the attention and the love that they need so that they can then move on. And I really encourage you, try it. Elsie's saying, oh, good, just visiting me. Yeah, they're just visiting you. Like, that is it. They're just visiting. So just hug them and imagine like small, scared little children that you're loving on. that you're helping to you're comforting them, right? Like you're essentially comforting them. Now, you may need to do it again and again when they're there, especially if it's really strong for you. Like I did it this morning, and I'm noticing like those kind of waves of sadness have been coming up throughout the morning. So it's like not pretending like it's not there, but it's just recognizing it for what it is, and then using this process as many times as you need to help comfort them. And over time, as you do that more and more, you'll notice that it goes away faster and you can return, because your natural state is joy. Your natural state is happiness. And when you find yourself in any of those lower emotional states, that means that you're assigning meaning to a situation that isn't true. And so we can really take comfort in that and remember, like, oh, like the reason I'm feeling these feelings is that I'm thinking thoughts that actually aren't true about this situation. But it doesn't mean you don't feel the feelings in the moment either, right? So that's okay. But use this, and I'm just curious, for those of you who are here live, have any of you done this before? I know I've coached a few of this on this in private sessions. Thank you for the hearts, Laura. Let me just pause and welcome Jamie. Good morning. Sierra, good morning. Ricky, good morning. Joseph, good morning. So good to see each of you. There was a comment before, Elsie, I have a default of presenting happy and together. Yeah. And I get that, because that was my go-to for so long. And it's like, at least for me, it was a defense mechanism, because I didn't feel comfortable with anything other than like being perfect. And that's, the more we can learn to just embrace all of who we are, the really great, like happy peak times and the times where we don't feel so good, that actually really grows your self-confidence. And that's why this morning I didn't feel authentic to come on and talk about, like, let's talk about how to grow your wealth consciousness, when honestly I was just feeling sad. And I was like, I'm just gonna talk about it in hopes that it's of service to you, and also not resisting what is. And I think that's actually a piece of what we're all being invited to do in our world now, is like honoring more of the feeling side of things, of not like having to have it all so put together all the time and be so perfect, and realizing like you can experience the full range of human emotions and you can still have everything you want. Like you don't have to be perfect all the time. I think this makes me laugh, but I shared this I was at a mastermind earlier this year, and there's this amazing guy named Preston Smiles. I don't know if any of you follow Preston, but he was there. And I got some coaching from him on some things. And I was like feeling at the time like I had to be really perfect to create the financial results I wanted. And he was like, oh, so you think you got to be Jesus for this thing to work out? I was like, yeah, I guess that's kind of what I was thinking. And it's like, no, you don't. You can be yourself, and you can have the real raw human experience and honor these emotions. But when we resist against them, like it doesn't serve you to stay in them, right? So that is important. It doesn't serve you. Thank you for the hearts. Yeah. It doesn't serve you to stay in them. So we want to know, how do we process them and move beyond them, in not in like a spiritual bypass way, but like, how do we glean the good, process them, and then move on, because it doesn't serve you to stay in them longer than is necessary. Let me just check comments, and I'm going to move over and check comments on LinkedIn and Facebook. Let me see. Sherry's saying, all emotions are welcome at my table. I ask them, what's up? Why are you here? Yeah, beautiful. It's like they're always here to teach us something. I'm so glad that this is a helpful conversation this morning. It's helpful for me. So I appreciate each of you being here. Elsie, not acknowledging it did actually make it worse. Yes. Oh, Rita, thank you. I love you. Thank you. Laura, I was making my emotions more complicated and tried to analyze too much instead of welcoming as a small child. Yeah. And Laura, that to your point, like this morning when I was really feeling those, and I was just journaling through it. It was like, this is little Elise who, misses living close to her mom, and that's okay. Like, that's totally okay. But just loving on her and, remembering all that it is. Let's see here, fit and wellness. And I'm sorry, remind me of your name, but you're saying it's hard to move on from bad mood. And then I'm getting more mad because I can't overcome. Well, thank you for sharing that. Yeah. And I think, So the first thing is, I really honor that that's your present experience, right? Is that it does feel hard to move on from a bad mood. What I would invite you to do is, remember, if you resist against it, it's just going to get stronger. So practice that welcoming ceremony, and with zero judgment of the fact that you're in a bad mood. Like, just, it is what it is, right? But also there are ways to kind of stop the momentum of it, whether it's like taking a nap. Like last night I went to bed at, I think I went to bed at like 7 because physically, like, some of these things had expressed as like migraine and just a lot of fatigue. And I was like, I'm just going to go to bed. I'm going to get up early. And by going to sleep, we can stop a lot of that momentum. But then it's also proactively practicing. Like, you can actually really control your emotions by learning to manage your thoughts. It does take practice. So that's why I feel like you may be newer to our community. So you may or may not have heard me talk about some of this, but like, I love doing Dr. Joe Dispenza's meditations and practicing feelings of gratitude and worthiness and appreciation and love, because when you practice those over time, those become your default state. And then when you're not feeling like, and I know a lot of you who are members of the community, you've done this and you know this. And then when you're not feeling that way, you're like, ooh, something's off. Like, this is not feeling normal, right? And that's it. So it becomes your default mode. Like my default for years and years, I was in anxiety a lot. And it doesn't take a long time of practicing this. It was really just about, I would say, 6 to 8 weeks of being really intentional about every day meditating, practicing, cultivating those feelings of gratitude, appreciation just for life as it is, that those became more of my default state. And now when a day like today happens, it feels more rare. It's kind of like, oh, that's weird. But again, we don't have to fight it or make ourselves wrong for it. We kind of just accept it. And I'm going to share with you one other practice you can use. Let me just mention, Kim, good morning on YouTube. Good to see you. Kara, you're saying this speaks to you. Good. Oh my gosh. I'm so glad. I am so glad. And then the second, third step, I don't know how many steps we're going through, but your second or third step this morning, look for what's good. Look for what's good. And look for what you have and what is good and what is working for you rather than what's not. And, this morning, after kind of journaling and processing some of the emotions and like doing the welcoming ceremony, and just feeling like incrementally better, not like I didn't suddenly feel, joyful beyond measure, but I felt a little better. And it was like, okay, let's look for what's good. And it was like, I'm so grateful to have this husband that I have, like this beautiful man who I get to be married to, our son. I'm grateful. I mean, I thought about like my, around this time last year, I was still like healing from, skin cancer surgery, and my scar was a lot more visible. And I was like, I'm really grateful at how that has healed pretty well. And it was like kind of comparing down. I know that may sound weird, but take in your own life, things that you now have that used to be like huge. It would have been a dream for you to have them at some point in your life, right? And you can look at maybe the family you have, maybe a health thing. Like I thought back to like, gosh, my scar used to be a lot more visible and now it's more healed. And I'm so grateful for that. Maybe it's where you live, but you can just really appreciate where you are now versus where you were last year, last month, even last week, and just appreciate, right? Like even I'm looking at I got a beautiful little money tree that Jason's, he's unpacking and he set it out on my desk this morning, and I'm like looking at that, and it's beautiful and it's happy, and I appreciate that right now. So look for what's good and look for what's working, and you just practice it, knowing that at some point the emotion will fade. And this is the final piece. I hadn't planned on but remember, like this is so important to remember, that the contrast always lives. It's always the setup for your next level. So when you are experiencing whatever the contrast, and by contrast, I just mean negative emotions, resistance, right? Fear, grief, anxiety, sadness, overwhelm. That means you're ready for your next level. And we can we got to look for it though and say, great, if this meant I was about to up level, what would it mean? And I'm really sensing in my own life, there's a call to like claim more of my personal power, which I think is actually going to be the theme of our Sedona retreat this winter, which I'm so excited for, because I know so many of you are also ready for that, of like, and just let me, like, give me a heart or let me know, are you ready for that? Like, to really claim more of your person. This is not a sales pitch for Sedona, by the way. Are you ready to claim your personal power? That's not what it is. But like, are you feeling that? I'm just curious if you're feeling that in your life about being called to claim more of who you are. And that's, thank you for the hearts. Like, that's part of what I'm feeling right now too, is like, we're all being invited to step into more of our own personal power, personal potential. And there can be, you'll experience the lack of it when you're ready to claim more of it as the setup for it. So you can really like feel good and actually feel excited about that as well. Let me check. Marlene is saying, when you change the way you look at things, the things you look at change. Oh, I love that. I love that. Wayne, right? That's beautiful. Yeah. Let me just check comments here. Oh, Lee, good morning. Oh, it's so good to see you. I listened to Mondays before I realized it was Mondays. So now I'm late again, missed the good stuff, more recordings in my life. The recordings are here for you, my friend. It's so good to see you. We're just talking today about how to overcome negative emotions and what to do, like how to keep going when things feel hard. So yeah, that's what I've got for all of you today. And we'll very likely be back to wealth consciousness tomorrow and more Think and Grow Rich. But I just wanted to share that from the heart. And I'm grateful to have this beautiful community where we can be real with each other and share like what's actually going on, and know that it's okay to not be perfect all the time. And it's okay to feel all of it and experience all of it. And that we can share that too together. So, all right, my friends, that's it for today. I'm grateful for you. I'm grateful for your hearts. I'm grateful for the opportunity to spend time with you today. And I'm wishing each of you a beautiful, beautiful rest of your morning. I'll see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.